All right, you are live. Okay.
Are you guys still there?
Still here.
Okay, yay.
See if we can get some folks to tune in before we get started.
Okay.
I forgot to share it. I usually share it. You can't see. Okay, I know we're live, but I'm just going to ask this question anyway. If I get a text at the top, you can't see it, right? Because I just got a text that said that my cable line is complete. You all don't see that though, right?
Nope.
Okay.
I didn't see anything.
Barb, they just now finished my cable line.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they had to give me a new cable and dig a hole.
Oh Lord. That's a lot.
I know, but maybe that explains why things were wonky for a while, right?
Could be. Could very well be. Yeah.
Let's hope.
Get started here in about 1 minute.
Okay.
Those of you tuning in, let us know where you're watching from by writing it down below in the comment section.
My animals are all really quiet right now, you guys. There was barking and whatever that noise cats make right before we went on.
They can join if they want.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Can everybody see me again?
Mm-hmm.
I can see all of you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Pat Kane with the Museum of the Grand Prairie in Champaign County Forest Preserve District. We're going to begin another Mornings with the Museum program. Program we're doing once a month now, where we ask you to join us live to ask us any questions that you may have. We'll answer them here live, and then also we have a theme each week where we discuss some awesome things related to that theme. The theme for this week is back to school, which we will jump into in just a few moments. But before we do that, let's learn who is on the stream today. So if you could, those museum staff members joining us today, I'll call on you. We'll go around and introduce ourselves, tell us your name and what you do with the museum. So let's start with Barb.
With me?
Yeah.
I'm Barb Wolfschlager-Garvey. I'm the director of the Museum and Education Department of the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. And I keep all these guys in line.
Thank you, Barb. Katie, how about you?
I'm still laughing. I'm Katie Snyder. I'm the education program specialist, so this is a good topic for me at the Museum of the Grand Prairie in the Champaign County Forest Preserve District.
Thank you, Katie. And Sandy, how about you? Oh, it looks like Sandy's got to unmute yourself. You're muted yourself.
Am I okay now? So I am Sandy Osbourne. I've been an educator at the museum for 24 years, and I love working with children. And of course, I miss them very much right now.
Well, thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Katie and Barb, for joining us today for another Mornings with the Museum program. We would love to know who's tuning in out there. So let us know where you're watching from by writing it in the comment section down below. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube here this morning for this program, but we would love to know where you're streaming from. I'm at the museum. I'm in our exhibit, the Grand Prairie Story, in front of our general store section. And Barb is back in her office, and Katie and Sandy are streaming from across Central Illinois here. So we would love to know where you're watching from today. Write that down in the comment section below. If you're unfamiliar with the Museum of the Grand Prairie, Museum of the Grand Prairie opened originally as the Early American Museum in 1968, and our current mission is to collect, preserve, and interpret the cultural and natural history of Champaign County in East Central Illinois. We're also a part of the Champaign County Forest Preserve District here in Central Illinois, collection of 6 beautiful forest preserves, educational facilities such as the Museum of the Grand Prairie and Homer Lake Interpretive Center, golf course, rail trail, whole bunch more in the Champaign County Forest Preserve District, and we're glad to be a part of it. A few upcoming programs happening with us, some other things we're working on. Just wanted to let you know before we get started with today's program. So the museum is open now on a limited basis. We've been open since early July, Tuesday through Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. But we are asking visitors to pre-register before visiting. Reserve your time slot. We have limited time slots for visitors to join us here at the museum. We ask for you to pre-register online. You can find those registration links on our Facebook page, on our website, museumofthegrandprairie.org, or also the Forest Preserve District's website, ccfpd.org. Also asking folks, you have to wear a mask to come into the museum, and we've got a bunch of other safety protocols that you will need to adhere by while visiting. So again, check out our website, Facebook page for more information on visiting us at the museum. Again, Tuesdays through Saturdays from 1 to 5 p.m. And as always, we are free. I have a whole bunch of great digital content we've been putting out over the past several months on our social media pages, things such as stories of local history, pieces from our museum's collection, virtual summer camp videos, virtual events and concerts, and so much more. So please check out our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Goodreads. Next week, we ask that you join us as we celebrate Welcoming Week. Welcoming Week next week, happening from September 12th to September 20th. Katie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to tell us a little bit more about what we're doing for Welcoming Week next week?
Yeah, we're excited to be able to offer this. In the past, you may have come out to make ice cream with a new friend, which was a lot of fun, but obviously not a great choice at this point. We have put together some videos that welcome you to the museum and kind of just give you a little overview of what you can do when you come out and visit the museum. And we have those translated with voiceovers in both Spanish and French, and we also have an English version. And I'm hearing feedback. Are you guys hearing feedback on me?
Yeah, I am.
I'm not hearing any.
Okay, so those start, I believe, Sunday night. Is that correct, Pat? And then we have them on alternate days with the museum doing one day and Homer Lake Interpretive Center doing something similar on the next day, and back and forth. So throughout the week, we'll have English, French, and Spanish welcoming videos. And then the cool thing about that, I think, is that those will always be available to newcomers to get a little glimpse. We'll put those up on our YouTube channel, and that will always be available to newcomers to get a little glimpse of what they can see when they come out to visit, because of course, as Pat just said, we're still open for visits, and we hope that all the newcomers to our community come on out and check us out.
All right. Well, thank you, Katie. And as Katie mentioned, check out those videos as they come out next week for Welcoming Week, where we're welcoming everyone to come and visit us at the museum, Homer Lake Interpretive Center, and other parts of the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. I'm not hearing any audio issues on my end. If anyone out there watching on Facebook or YouTube, let us know if you can hear us okay, or if you're having audio issues, if it sounds a little garbled, or if you're getting any feedback. We'd love to know if things are going okay on your end. So write that in the comment section, or give us a simple thumbs up if everything sounds okay to you out there. Also, Katie, Julia, our friend Julia, said, Katie, I like the art in your background. Smiley face.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah, so
I'd
these
pass
are
that.
all local women artists, actually. Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you walked around, we could do a little tour around here sometimes. It's all local art in my house, and often women. So I like it too, Julia.
I like it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Julia. Okay, one last thing to promote. Next Thursday, a week from tomorrow night, our third installment of our Soloists for Suffrage virtual concert series is going to happen on Thursday, September 17th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. This series features local women artists performing live from our new exhibit space, How Long Must Women Wait? Women's Suffrage, Women's Rights in Champaign County. And Rebecca Rigo will be joining us, local artist, performing live from the exhibit space. An awesome, intimate acoustic set, again, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 17th, and that will stream live right here on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Okay, Julia gave us a thumbs up that she can hear us okay out there. I haven't heard anything else otherwise, so I think we're still doing okay. A few other we'll go ahead and jump into the topic, but again, let us know where you're watching from out there, or if you have any questions for us. This is meant to be a live Q&A too. We'd love to answer any and all questions you may have, whether it's related to our theme of back to school, questions about the museum in general. You want to know our thoughts on certain topics, ask us some questions, because it makes it way more interesting for us and for you when you ask us those questions. So write those down in the comment section below, and we'd be happy to address them. Okay, so we're going to jump into today's program, where, as I mentioned, the theme is back to school. So with it being after Labor Day now, we're in the week after Labor Day, most area schools have begun their new school year, but this school year certainly presents some unique challenges and is a school year unlike any other, which I'm sure most of you out there are very aware of. And for those of you who have any, whether you work in a school, you have kids that are in school, you're in school yourself, we hope it's going as smooth as it can, and the road, are at a minimum, and things are easily fixed, because we know it's certainly challenging times. But we're thinking of everybody out there who works in a school environment or is in a school environment at this time. But back to school, for me, has always been an exciting time. I love going to school as a kid. I love to learn. And that's why we chose, we didn't choose it because I like to learn, but it's this time of year, back to school time, figured it'd be a great thing to discuss with museum staff members here. So with it being a historical year in so many ways, including how school is now conducted, let's talk about back to school. So the three of you, when I say the phrase, when you hear the phrase back to school, what does that mean to you? Or is there anything that it makes you think of that you want to share with us today? Who would like to go first here answering this question? Sandy's raising her hand. Sandy, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, everyone hear me? Good. So when I think of back to school, I think of our one-room schoolhouse. And one of my favorite programs to do in the past 24 years, when I've had a chance, is first interpretation down there in the schoolhouse when children come and do their field trips there. One of the cool things about that is we think of it as a Venn diagram with comparing a long time ago and current day. And of course, today's current day is different than 6 months ago current day was. So lots of different things there. So when people went to the one-room schoolhouse around here in Champaign County a long time ago, most often grades 1 through 8 would all be in the same classroom. So different years, there would be a different makeup of children depending how many of which grade lived in the couple square miles of where they would go to their one-room school. Of course, they would walk to school, different than most children today. 8th grade was a lot of times the highest that a child went in school, and boys were often older than girls by the time they graduated from 8th grade. That was because it was more important for the boys to spend time in the fall helping out in harvesting the crops, and in the spring out planting the crops. And so they did not get to attend school nearly as often as the girls did, because girls, you still had your work to do at exactly and go to school at the same time. So that was one of the big differences between schools. And the subjects that were really important were reading, writing, and arithmetic, often called the 3 R's. Today's school, reading is also very important. Arithmetic is very important. Writing, if you're actually writing stories, is important, but the handwriting isn't quite as important because today most of that is done on electronic devices and you don't have to practice the exciting cursive writing, etc., that we see in a lot of old things. They would, of course, take only sack lunches to school. Sometimes today, children take sack lunches. Sometimes they would have hot lunches. It's a very fun activity to do. The schoolhouse is currently closed right now, but once COVID is gone and we're returned back to normal again, in the summertime, the schoolhouse is open during our main visiting hours, and it's a great place for you to take your family. There are desks, there's chalkboards, there's chalk, there's a couple reading books down there. It's a very nice place for you to go to. This summer, several of us made Schoolhouse videos, and they are still up on our Facebook pages. You can go there to watch them. You can enjoy those with your children. And if, like myself, you happen to be virtual schooling with your children instead of sending them to school, you could use those as some assignments, and they would be a great way for you to engage your children in what school used to be like and be able to continue it. Some of the artifacts that are in there, we're going to talk about in a little bit. So come visit us at the schoolhouse whenever we're allowed to let you back in again. And have a great school year, everybody. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. And as Sandy mentioned there towards the end, since we can't have the schoolhouse open, we weren't able to open the schoolhouse this summer. We did do some virtual summer in the schoolhouse lessons, which Sandy did 2 wonderful lessons, as well as a couple volunteers, Sandy Lou and Judy, also did some really great virtual summer in the schoolhouse lessons, and those are on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. So go and find those to partake in some schoolhouse lessons virtually, from wherever you may be watching. Okay. Well, thank you, Sandy. Katie or Barb, back to school. What does it make you think of?
I can go because I'll jump off what Sandy was talking about. Well, first, when you talk about, this isn't jumping off what Sandy's talking about. When you talk about what does it make me think about, so I was a teacher, a classroom teacher, mostly upper elementary, but also kindergarten, believe it or not, for a while. So I was a teacher for, I don't know, roughly 85 years or so. I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure. But so what it makes me think of is if you're a teacher, like you go to the store, you go to Meijer, you go to Target in I don't know, early June, and the school supplies come out and you start to sweat a little bit. Because you haven't even started to think about it, right? But then early August, you're starting to think about it. You're going into school. You're getting your classroom ready. You're getting all your different units ready for the year. So this year, it's been tricky for teachers, right? Because first they were getting ready in that way, thinking they were going to be in person. And then they had to switch gears and start thinking about how to deliver all that virtually. So it's really, it's a lot. And then since I came to the museum about roughly 5 years ago, what the beginning of school meant to me is we would really stop our summer programming and really quick, pretty much the next week, kind of switch over into our school programming. So there wasn't as much time to kind of switch it in your brain. But we did, obviously we did different things than we can do now. We did, as Sandy was talking about, we did field trips where kids would come in, and we hope to be able to do that again when it's safe. But I'm going to talk just a little bit about what we can offer this year to public and private school teachers, homeschoolers. And I know there's a lot of different kind of, a different aspect of homeschooling this year where people are temporarily homeschooling because of their schools being virtual. But all these things would be available to everybody. So as Sandy said, we have some videos that we have made. And if you look on our website and you look at the different programming we would have had for field trips where you come visit us, we're going to be able to offer all that virtually as well. And we also have something that we've already started lending out is our learning tubs. We have learning tubs that cover all sorts of subjects. We have a prairie one, we have a 1960s one, we have a civil rights one, we have a women's one. I'm going to show you just a couple of things from there because those can be checked out by public school teachers, private school teachers that could maybe use some of these in their virtual lessons even now. This is from the Civil Rights Tub. Each of the tubs have a lot of picture books, which are a real easy way to integrate literature, reading, having kids pick up comprehension and history and culture. Because I know it's harder in this small little time span people have now of 2.5 hours to get in history and culture. So this kind of thing would be a great way of doing it. This one's called Child of the Civil Rights Movement, and each one of our tubs have a lot of different great picture books. Another way kids can integrate literature, reading, writing is looking at some of our primary source photographs. So this is a photograph from the Civil Rights Tub. This is the aftermath of the bombing of the Birmingham church where the 4 little girls were murdered. So there is captions at the bottom. So kids can read that, you could put that in a lesson, and they can also divide the picture up into quadrants and kind of look for meaning in the picture. We also have things like newspaper articles where they can work on comprehension from those. This one is Obama's celebration hits the streets of Campus Town, and I bet it did. So we have things like that. And also in the tubs, there's actual artifacts. A little more fun when, let's see if I can get this in the picture.
It's upside down and backwards. There you go.
It's upside down, but it's votes for women. These are a lot of fun when you can touch them and feel them and put them on. But a teacher could wear something like this in one of her lessons and talk about it with kids that way. She could have them do some sort of a writing around it. You could show this little artifact. I know my friends on here know what this is. This was put in the fire. This is from the women's tub. This was put in the fire, and then women used it to crimp their hair. But you could put something like this, do a lesson with it, and have kids do some predicting of what this might be and writing around that or putting it in a story. So there's ways to integrate the things that you're being asked to do with reading and writing with borrowing these tubs. And borrowing the tubs is effectively free. We ask for a $50 deposit, and a lot of the districts give that deposit so teachers don't have to individually do it. We're also able to help writing some lessons that would be directly for your class. So really all we really need is for teachers to get in touch with us and we can figure something out. If you're a new homeschooler, look on the website, see what we have. pretty much we're trying to offer everything that we've offered before, just in a safer way during this time of COVID.
And Katie, to find out more info, folks could go to where?
Well, they can go to our website, but like if you have a specific question, the best thing really is to email me and I'll get back to you. We can talk on the phone or we can email, because lots of times we develop things individually with the teacher. So if they can email me at ksnyder, ksnyder @ccfpd.org, that would be the best way of getting something started.
Got it. Well, cool. Yeah. And, as you said, I think you said this before in a previous program, we're having to, shift our minds and, try and retool and rethink things with the current COVID situation, but still a whole bunch of awesome ways that the museum can enhance education, things we've been doing for a long time, and now can be offered virtually, and also a lot of awesome hands-on stuff that you can borrow from us in those loan kits and those loan tubs. So thank you, Katie. Barb, how about you? Back to school. What do you think?
Well, it's kind of funny because Katie sees school supplies in the store and she starts to panic. Right? I see school supplies in the store and I go, "Whoa! I love school supplies!" Because I'm maybe these guys are the perpetual teachers and I'm the perpetual student. I don't know, but I just love school supplies. And when you said that when you told us what the question was going to be, I immediately went to what do we have in the collection, being the museum person, right? That would reflect my love of school supplies. And I thought about one of the coolest things I think we have is a cipher book, which is before the days of textbooks. Believe me, there were schools before there were textbooks. And before the days of textbooks, people would create their own mathematics book. So we have a book it's between 1820 and 1825 that was created by somebody, I've forgotten the guy's name, to remember how to do arithmetic. So there's a page for how to do addition. There's a page for how to do long addition. There's a page for how to do subtraction. And people would keep these books their whole lives so that they would remember how to do certain operations, which it seems crazy to us, but there was no internet. There wasn't even a textbook. So, Pat, you want to show one of those pages?
I am trying to do that as we speak, but I'm getting a not responding thing from StreamYard, Google Chrome. So having some tech issues here.
Oh, okay. Well, the book that we have has math lessons in it. So it's got addition, subtraction, multiplication, times tables, fractions, how to do fractions, how to calculate interest, what are standard weights and measures, and even and this is how we know it's pretty early, how to convert British money to American money. And then it also has a whole bunch of those things that everybody hates, story problems at the back, so that you can remember how to figure out what operation you need to use to solve a problem. And the really cool thing about this is that you can come see it. So you can come see it. It's in the Lincoln exhibit. Because in 1855, Illinois passed right about the same time that Lincoln was coming through here. The state of Illinois passed legislation to provide free education to all citizens of Illinois. That meant that the state took on the burden of teaching every single person. And the reason they did that was because it was thought to be good for democracy that everyone could read and write and understand the issues of the day. So here we are. We're back to being educated voters. And so we wanted to put something in there that reflected the education of 1855 and just before. Now, what's really, really cool is that Abraham Lincoln himself, between 1820 and 1826, so between when he was 11 and 15, he made a cipher book just like this. It's not the one that's in the museum, but it's in, I believe it's in the Smithsonian. And so he made a math book for himself so he would know how to do math for the rest of his life, right? And a couple of years ago, I think it was about 10 years ago, two professors from Illinois State discovered a page of Lincoln's book that wasn't a Lincoln cipher book that wasn't with the rest of the book. In the collection at Harvard, it had been disconnected at some point in the past, and they determined that it was his. And so there's another page, the Lincoln cipher book, which probably only excites me. But and the one thing I really wanted to show you from that cipher book, and then I'll quit, because we're not going to get the pictures, are we, Pat?
No, they're having issues, but I can post them in the comments afterwards.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm sorry, everybody out there, that we can't see the cipher book right now, but I'm having technology issues. So
right, is that there's a page at the very front of the book that's just a bunch of ink blots, and that's because this is a book you're going to keep for the rest of your life. You want to make sure that it's not a mess. So when you're starting to write with either with a quill or with a metal nibbed pen, you want to make sure that it's writing before you start writing in a permanent surface. And so I love it because you can see the action of cleaning your pen nib because it's still there. It's part of the front of the book. So anyway, that makes it more human to me, and I love that.
Hey, Barb, in everything old is new again kind of thing, when I taught 5th grade for many years at Stratton, and one program we used there for math was called college prep math, and I thought, ooh, 5th grade college prep, that's pretty early, but it was one thing the kids had to do is they kept a math journal, and it was very much like what you're saying. It would be as they learned, different things, they would write it out, and they would also write out the way that worked the best for them, right? Because often there's very many ways of getting to an answer in math. And they would, write all the different ways, but they would write the way that worked the best for them. And then that was kind of like a reference, an individual reference that they could look at throughout the year. I mean, I don't think they carried it with them for the rest of their life, but it was very helpful throughout the year for them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Pat, did you have something?
I didn't, because I didn't think we would have enough time. And we're already over time, and I'm having
share with us.
I'm having some technology issues, but what you three shared, I thought was great. So yeah, back to school, exciting times, interesting times, unique times, but still a very important part of many folks' lives out there. Some of you might be watching too. School is very impactful in our lives in a number of different ways. And I want to thank Sandy, Katie, and Barb for joining us this morning, and sharing their thoughts on back to school. I want to thank you all out there for watching. Those of you who are watching live, or you may be watching this recorded. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And yeah, that's the end of our program, Mornings with the Museum. Any parting words? I think Barb has something to say. Unfortunately, I am not in a spot where I can unmute Sandy. I'm sorry, Sandy, but I'm having some issues on my end that I can't quite explain. So, but I think the stream is still going. So Barb, you had one thing to say?
Well, I was just going to talk about how, you were saying how important school is, and it made me think of something that might. Okay, here's where Barb cries. That my grandfather always said, and that is, you can take away my shoes, you can take away my shirt, you can take away my house, but you can't take away my education. So keep learning, everybody.
Keep learning.
Yeah,
Those-
my
those are-
grandpa used to say that too. I wonder if that's like something of the time period. I thought he said that because he came over from Italy and he didn't have much, but maybe that was the common knowledge, which is good knowledge, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We need to remember it.
One other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to
Keep
mention
learning, everybody.
is I would love to zoom into some lessons when people are ready for that, for public or private school teachers. And I could zoom into a lesson in the museum. I could be in the museum, and it could be kind of like a real-time virtual field trip or lesson about whatever people thought might be appropriate to work with their kids. That could be something, completely different than what we've done in the past, which I think is kind of cool that we're trying to mimic and change things up a little bit of things we've already done. But I think zooming into a classroom, zooming into an online lesson would be a new thing we could get started this year. So if any public or private school teachers are interested in that, get a hold of me. Let's talk about it.
Good.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks to you three. Thanks everybody for watching. And we'll do another one next time. Mornings with the Museum.
Okay. Yay.
Bye. Thanks, Pat. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Turn this on. Bye, everybody.
It says we're still in the show, though, guys.
I know. That's why I haven't left.
Is this where we sing?
But Pat is he's
Pat.